Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve podcast takes a close-up look at controversial subject matter and hot-button topics, adding humor, cynicism, and a dose of reality to the stuff we're not supposed to talk about anymore. Politics, religion, sex, gender identity, violence, corruption. Nothing is left unturned in this lighthearted approach to information dissemination. The world is experiencing a pandemic of cowardice. 80% of people do not believe the craziness they've been coerced to agree with. Grab a friend, grab a beverage, and dive in with us as we take on the narrative and blast social stigmas with truth. Here are your hosts, Patriots Ray Amanat and Steve Reed.
And howdy, everybody in radio and podcast land and video land or wherever you are. This is Steve Reed. I am broadcasting live here on Facebook and YouTube, and I am in an undisclosed location in North Texas. And I know you're disappointed. You were expecting to see my podcast partner, Mr. Ray Amanat. Well, Ray has a family issue that's going on. So instead of Ray, I have the executive director, the queen of everything related to Heroes in Action, Debbie Schofield. Debbie,
how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great too. I still have, Ray might not be here, but
oh,
our little friend is.
You know, I gotta pull mine off the shelf. So, yes. So Debbie, without going into a lot of detail, I know Ray had kind of a family friend issue that was going on. He's okay. He's healthy. He's et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
But the guy that he is, honor, character, integrity, etc. Somebody called him for help.
Yep.
And Ray just jumped in and said, "I'll help."
That's it. His uncle is a friend of his uncle, and his uncle is in his 80s, and he asked Ray if he would come along just in case there was a problem anywhere. Because you know, Ray's dependable and can handle those things. Yeah. So Ray never even thought of saying no. They just arranged the flight, and he was out of here. And so far, everyone's doing well.
That's the kind of friend we all need. So I'm disappointed that he's not here, but he's where he needs to be.
Yes, he is.
So that's the thing. So Debbie, before we get into the meat of our conversation today, we've had a couple of other update things going on in the news. Like I heard yesterday that it was actually snowing in the White House recently.
Yeah.
Did you hear that
too? Yeah. I didn't think it was cold enough this time of year there for snow, but apparently, who knew?
And my understanding, it was kind of a white powdery snow.
Yeah, so, they had to clear everything out and make sure it wasn't anthrax and it wasn't something, horrible that was left to harm the president or any of the staff. But turns out it was just cocaine.
So my understanding is they were hunting around for the source.
You can't make any assumptions. Now there's a lot of people in and out.
I just said they were hunting around for the source. So you could say that those that were doing the evaluation were hunters. So maybe it was a hunter that anyway. Well,
it could have been. It could have been. There's a lot of people that go through the White House. I'm sure some hunters do.
Yeah, probably so. But anyway, gun rights people that anyway. We'll just leave it at that. So folks, if you don't know what we're talking about, they found cocaine in the White House. That's kind of a no-no. So we're not supposed to have that sort of thing going on. So
very, very disrespectful to the White House, to the physicians.
Debbie, you were sharing something with me before. And before I get into this, before I ask you my question, Ray and I decided last week our topic for today was going to be talking about our country, the founding and so forth, since yesterday was Independence Day. it happened to fall on the 4th of July. So I'm not celebrating the 4th of July. I'm celebrating Independence Day. Independence from King George of England, Great Britain. So back in the 1776, 247 years ago, many of our founders for this amazing country signed a Declaration of Independence. But you read something to me a few minutes ago that was really talking about whether or not the Constitution and the Declaration would be adhered to, or whether they would be even worthwhile. Share with our audience what that was, if you would.
Well, you're talking about John Adams.
John Adams, yes.
Okay. John Adams believed that morality and virtue were the foundations of our republic and necessary for a society to be free. My question was, does our Constitution still work? And the reason I'm asking that is a quote by John Adams says, "Our Constitution was made for a moral and religious people. It's wholly inadequate to the government by any other." So being the state of our country where there's a lack of regard for human life, whether it's with abortion at any stage, whether it's the shootings that happen daily in our cities, the grooming and sexualization of our children, our pro-criminal courts, dishonesty in every level of our government, from the president down, and our media. Is morality and virtue needed for our Constitution to work? Because it's not here anymore. And so where does that leave our country? If our founding father says we need that for it to work, where does that leave our country?
Debbie, I'm gonna suggest that conservatives are still adhering to, conservatives and most independents are adhering to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, et cetera, but it's those on the left that they just don't care, because they think it's a living document, so it can be changed anytime. It's not a living document. I have never seen a piece of paper that was alive. It was written the way it was written for a specific reason.
They knew our founding fathers were brilliant. Maybe each one had brought their own brilliance, and you put them together, and it made something that can never be duplicated. They knew that societies would change, that we would need to amend it. So they left that open. They left that open for amendments. But the basic ideals and principles should have been able to carry through. And I don't think they are anymore, because people are chipping away at it. They're changing it for whims. You know, I feel this way, so let's change the Constitution.
Exactly.
So I really, when I say is our Constitution still working, I really am asking that question.
You know, I saw a post on Facebook. I'm not going to mention any names or anything of that sort, but the guy that wrote the post was saying, is the Constitution even worth anything today? Do we need to change everything and start over? And I'm thinking to myself, you're an idiot, because the Constitution that we have has been the substance for the freedoms that we have in our country. And it started in 1776 when Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. And then we had those signers, those people that put everything on the line to sign the Declaration and said, we're out here. We're exposing ourselves. We are going to put our fortune, our fame, our very lives on the line for this.
Right. They're committing treason. They're committing treason at that point.
Exactly. But these were people of substance. These were people of character, of morality, of virtue. And we don't have that in many of the higher places in our government. And all over the government. I don't care. I don't care if it's president. I don't care if it's a local mayor. And I can tell you some things about the mayor of the city where I live, but I'm going to withhold for right now. But morality and virtue just are not a thing anymore for a lot of people. They don't care. It's
And
all about me.
I'll even take it maybe a step further.
Okay.
The New World Order. They want
Yep.
countries with no borders.
Yep.
Maybe they are aware of what they're doing by
They know what they're doing.
bringing things in to make our Constitution be null and void, so it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe it's by design. This is all happening.
Well,
I hope not, but maybe it is.
No, Debbie, you're stumbling onto something, and I'll show a little picture here. We've shared this before. It's the swamp that has their tentacles in everything. This goes all the way back. I mean, this goes back 50 plus years. Cloward and Piven came up with the concept of destroying the country from within. And then you had Saul Alinsky, who was right in there with them, that had a publication called Rules for Radicals. How can we destroy the country? And one of the things that they were trying to do is they were trying to destroy by creating so much chaos and so much debt that the country would crumble inside upon itself. And we are determined not to let that happen. So that's our foundation. But Debbie, I want to go through and take a few minutes to go through parts of the Declaration of Independence, because you know what, I'm embarrassed to say this. Audience, here you go. I haven't read the Declaration of Independence in years, and when I started reading it again as I was doing some show prep, I'm like, this is genius, and this needs to be taught in schools. I don't think they're even teaching in schools anymore. And no wonder we have chaos in the streets. No wonder everything is in mayhem. And it just, so we're going to take some time and go through some of the high points from the Constitution and the first few paragraphs, but why the Constitution or the Declaration was written, and what were the grievances back in 1776, and how does that relate to us today? But before we get into this, maybe we got to pay some bills, and I know you're kind of familiar with this, so I'm going to play a real quick video.
Hi, welcome to Heroes in Action. I'm Ray Amanat, founder and creator of this training system. I originally made it so that everyone can train for free. We have programs for kids, for women, families, and businesses. I'm an author, speaker, and educator on everything that has to do with violence and bullying prevention education. If you'd like more information about who we are and what our programs are, please go to our website at heroesinaction.us or give me a call if you have any questions at 727-314-2534. We hope to see you here to train.
Woohoo! All right. So I got a question for you.
Yes.
How long have you been working with Ray at Heroes in Action?
At Heroes in Action, I've been working about 5 years with him. Now,
Okay.
Ray has been my instructor and friend for almost 24, but actually
Wow.
working full-time for Heroes in Action about 5.
Okay. And do you call him your, what's the fancy word, the sensei, or what's the
No, and I just on the floor when we're training, he is sir to me.
Yes.
Off the floor, he's Ray.
yeah, off the floor, he's a slug bug. So, yeah, speaking of that, I saw a bug a couple days ago, and I sent something to you guys. So anyway, all right. So Debbie, let's dive in and let's look at some snippets from the Declaration of Independence. And folks, what I want to do is I want to read some of these different key points. And we're going to talk about this. We'll have some commentary. How does it relate to today? So hang on wherever you are. The Declaration of Independence that was released on July 4th, 1776. And Debbie, I understand it was supposed to be released on July 2nd, but
Yes.
somebody was derelict. But anyway, so
Yes.
it's July 4th officially. So when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they were endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Let's stop there. What does that mean to you?
That means to me that God gave us certain rights that man
Absolutely.
cannot take away. King cannot take away, a dictator cannot, no government can take away.
Yep.
And that they are going to list those truths as a reason to be independent from the king so that people can pursue those God-given rights.
Yeah. And you know, they said, we hold these truths to be self-evident. Number one, self-evident. Number two, that all men are created equal. Okay. And now, when they wrote this, male dominant society, no, we're not going to get into that stuff. But men here was generic. It's men and
Right.
women. Okay?
Like mankind.
Yes.
It meant the population of people.
Yeah, but it wasn't men, women, and other. Okay.
Right.
It was all men were created equal. Okay. So we're all equal and we all have the same equal opportunities. It's not saying that we're going to have the same equal outcome. It says we all have the same equal opportunities. And they're endowed, as you said, by their Creator, not by the government, not by the king, not by the president, a senator, congressman, a mayor, a governor, whatever, by their Creator, with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and a free bowl of ice cream for everybody anytime they want it. And it's got to be chocolate chip ice cream. I'm sorry.
Maybe not.
Yeah, exactly. But life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, it doesn't say we've got a right to everyone gets this, or everyone gets a house, everyone gets a car, everyone gets free internet, everyone gets free healthcare, everyone gets life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay? It doesn't say life, liberty, and happiness. It says the pursuit of happiness. And these are some key things. What does it mean to have life and liberty? And liberty is talking about our freedoms that we are guaranteed under the Constitution, not under the Declaration, but under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. We'll do the Constitution and Bill of Rights another time, but these are so critical, and we are just, too many people are just sweeping this stuff under the table, so to speak. So let's keep going. So Debbie, why don't you read this next section?
Alrighty. It might be above my pay scale, but I'll give it a go. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government. Laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, All experience hath shewn that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute there's my pay scale. Despotism. It's their right, it's their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security.
I want to stop there. And he's really starting to get into exactly what the reason is for this declaring of the independence from the king. Okay, and
Exactly.
let's do this one last page here, and then we'll start talking about some of the detail.
The history of the present king of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
I reread that, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, does that look like the United States of America today?
Yes.
And you look at the tyranny that is going on right now in front of our very eyes. Tyranny like, and thankfully we've got a Supreme Court that said, no, we're not going to do that. But what I'm talking about is a year ago, the tyrannical Biden. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. I've got some expletives, but I'm not going to share them. Okay, this is a family show. But you look at what Biden decided with the stroke of a pen.
Mhm.
We're going to forgive college loans for all of these whiners and babies. And so they don't have to pay back their college loans because they went to college and they got a worthless degree where they're not going to be able to make any money. So we're just going to forgive that loan.
Right.
No, that's a tyrant that is saying you don't have to do that. He's trying to make up his own rules and regulations. That's not the way this thing works. Okay. I don't care how many executive orders you sign. It's against the Constitution. So what do you think?
I agree completely. And also where it's talking about you don't change the Constitution over whims, over feelings, over
exactly,
over little things. It has to be something huge to put amended or change the Constitution.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are two different things, two different aspects of three different things. Number one is you can't write an executive order and have it have the same weight or the same merit as a law. Okay, so that's number one. So all these executive orders that Biden has been signing, here's the thing. He gets those for 4 years, and then the next president, when they are inaugurated, they can just wipe those executive orders off the face of the earth as if they never happened. Unfortunately, the damage oftentimes is done. Okay.
Right.
The second thing is when you have a law that is passed, okay, then you've got the House of Representatives and you've got the Senate. They have to agree on the content of that particular bill that is being passed, and then it goes to the president for his or her signature, okay? And then it becomes a law. The only problem is sometimes the Supreme Court looks at it and says, no, that doesn't meet the standards of the Constitution.
Right.
And that is the genius that we had with Jefferson and all of the founding fathers when they put together the Constitution and the formation of our government. They had three separate but equal parts to the government: the Supreme Court, the executive branch, which includes the president and all of the cabinets and so forth, and the legislative branch, which writes the laws and has the power of the purse. In other words, they're the only ones that can do anything about the money.
Right.
It's not the president.
Exactly.
It's not the Supreme Court. Okay. So when the founding fathers came together and said, this is the type of government we are going to put forth, that was genius.
Genius. Even their compromises were genius.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
with like we were talking earlier, how they originally were just going to have one body of representation.
Yes.
But the larger states wanted to be represented by population.
Yeah.
And the smaller states wanted to be a set amount of representatives per state.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they said, fine, we'll just make it 2. And that's why we have the House and the Senate. One's by population, one is a set number. Again, genius, instead of just fighting it and picking one.
So when you look at it, if we went by popular vote, then we would have Texas and Florida, yay, California, Illinois, and New York that would be running the world.
Right.
And unfortunately, California, Illinois, and New York, extremely liberal, very blue states. Thankfully, we've got Texas and Florida that are very red states, okay? As long as we can keep California, Illinois, and New York out of our states, then we'll stay conservative. But you look at that was so well thought out by our founding fathers and the people that got together in those smoke-filled rooms way back in the 1700s to put together to form our country. So let's continue on, and we'll talk through some of the different issues that are going on. What were some of the problems that our founding fathers saw that the king was trying to rule over us? So let's look at these, okay? He, the king, has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing this assent to laws of establishing judiciary powers. The king wanted to have British rule over everything that we were doing in our courts and our laws and our rules, etc. And our founding fathers said, no, we're not going to do that. So we want to be able to determine our own rules, our own laws, and not have the king or any other monarch in another country, in another part of the world, telling us what we can do.
Right.
Now, how does that look today by our standards and what we are dealing with right now? What do you think about that?
By trying to add judges onto the Supreme Court to try to stack the court, it's all the same thing. It's all trying to control the control judges.
Yeah,
exactly. Same
thing. And Debbie, you stumbled onto something earlier when you threw in the idea of abortion that was in there and the rights and so forth. There was no right of abortion in the Constitution. Nowhere. It's not written in there. Okay. There's no right to privacy written in the Constitution. It's not in there. But yet the Supreme Court back in 1973 made up a right out of thin air. Now we have a right. Okay. So what the Supreme Court did last summer, was they said, no, this is not a federal issue. This is a states' right issue. The federal government has to take its hands off and let the states determine. They did not rule that abortion is legal or unlawful. What they said was the states are going to determine this. Just like back in 1776, the United States said Great Britain doesn't have authority over our laws. So let's keep going. He has made judges dependent on his will alone, and for the tenure of their offices and the amount of payment to their salaries or of their salaries. So what they're saying is, we're going to determine who the judges are going to be, and they're all going to be favorable to Great Britain.
Right. And he became their boss.
Yeah, pretty much.
There were his employees by telling them how much they get paid and what their duties would be. He became their boss.
Exactly. So if there's a new king that comes into place, or new king or queen, then they can change all those judges around. Okay.
Correct.
That was one of the things that they did, that the United States did in our formation, is judges, federal judges, have a lifetime appointment. Supreme Court judges have a lifetime appointment. They are brought to, the nominations are brought to the president by different states, and their senators have to say, we like these people. But then the senators, after the president says, I'd like to put this person in power for a federal position or Supreme Court position, then the whole Senate has to vote on that. So it's not just the president saying, hey, we're going to do this, which is counter to what the king was trying to do to the United States. So again, genius.
Genius.
And Debbie, you mentioned a minute ago, trying to stack the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of 9 justices, the liberals, the socialists, the communists, the Democrats, I'm sorry for being so redundant, but they're trying to do it. So we stack the court, so there are more liberal justices on the Supreme Court. And no, that's not going to happen. All right, let's go on. Let's do one more, and then we'll take another break. So he has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out of their substance. Oh my gosh, is that prevalent today? You look at all the different cabinet positions and rules and regulations and so forth. And every time you turn around, there's another regulation. There's another bureaucrat that's coming along that's saying, well, I'm responsible for this. No, stop it. Just stop.
And giving already established, like giving the IRS duties and powers that they were never meant to have, that they turn around and harass the public with.
Absolutely. Gun-toting IRS agents. Go figure. So, Debbie, we need to take a real quick break and pay some bills, so hang on.
We all hope to age gracefully so we can enjoy our later years full of energy, vitality, and good health. But so often with age, our bodies start to show signs that things just aren't as they used to be. Our energy, skin, healing and recovery time, sleep, it all just seems to go downhill. Introducing LifeWave X39, the world's first product ever to activate stem cells. A true breakthrough in regenerative science that helps restore our bodies to a healthier, more youthful state in a way no other product can. No drugs, no injections, no kidding.
So, Debbie, I am super excited right now with what's going on with LifeWave. First of all, folks, here's an image, or here's one of the patches that they are talking about. It's what they call a non-transdermal patch, which means there's nothing in it that's going to go into your skin, okay? And what it does is it activates a copper peptide. I'm not going to get too scientific here, but a copper peptide that tells your stem cells to go back to work. By the time we reach the age 30, our stem cells have started to basically die off. They're just not functioning. By the time we reach the age 60, we only have about 10% activity with our stem cells. So what this patch does is it activates and tells your stem cells to come back to life. So you're going to get better sleep, rapid pain relief, better focus, more energy, faster recovery from workouts, etc. So many additional benefits. One of the great things that I like about it is it actually tells your body to start producing collagen. And what most people don't realize is that collagen is what tightens our face muscles. Okay.
And you look awesome for 110.
Well, actually, it's 111. Okay, but I just had a birthday, so that's.
Oh, you can see that it works.
Yeah, exactly, it works. So no, but I started using the patches in January 2022. Okay, so a year and a half ago. Back in August last year, I was doing a presentation for a group of people, and lady comes up to me at the end of the presentation, and she says, "Okay, I've been checking out your Facebook page." I said, "Okay, what did you discover?" She says, "You look younger." I said, "I look younger?" She says, "Yeah, you look younger in person than you did on Facebook. And the portrait that I had was done by a professional photographer who was only about a year old. And so I'm like, obviously the patches are working. So here's the great thing. Okay. Last thing. The company turns 20 next year. We are on a massive push. We are trying to grow this business like you have never seen before. In the last 4 years, since the company introduced this X39 stem cell activation patch, we have gone up by 15 times. It is unheard of in the world of direct sales. The company is just absolutely exploding. And we're setting the foundation, the stage right now for that massive growth. So get ready, hang on. So folks, if you want more information about LifeWave, I'm happy to get you some information. In fact, I'm going to do something crazy here. Let me see if I can. Here's my email address. Okay, you're welcome to reach out. Debbie, I promise I'm going to put Ray's email up in a minute so people can reach out to Ray about Heroes in Action. I got so enthralled with our discussion about the Constitution and Declaration. I'm declaring now that I'm going to put your email up in a minute. So anyway. All right, so
let me tell you real quick. I have used LifeWave, and I've had amazing results. So I'll just leave it at that. So I'll give you a testimonial on that one.
Excellent. And you know, the great thing is it works for everybody. 100% of the people, it works. Okay. You may not feel something, but it's working. Okay. So only about 10% of our nerves are feeling nerves or sensation nerves. Okay. So if you don't feel something, doesn't mean it's not working. It just means you're not feeling it. Okay. All right. So let's continue on. And I'm going to take my little crawler thing out of here. And let me put Mr. Ray's email address in here. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing. We already talked about that. I got to go to the next slide. Okay. All right. So Debbie, why don't you read these off for us?
For cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury.
All right. Now, we're going to pick these things apart. And I want to go with that first one, by cutting off our trade with all parts of the world. Now, we didn't have our trade cut off with all parts of the world per se. But what happened in 2020 when we were exposed to the Chinese virus?
Right. It was all cut.
We were cut off.
Right.
We were told you can't do business with your local merchants. You can only do business with the big box stores or with Amazon or whomever.
Right.
You can't do business with Joe's Bakery or Betty's Flower Shop or Frank's Automotive or whatever the case is. So they were in essence, the federal government and state governments were telling us you can't trade with each other. So who lost in that whole scenario? Mom and pops.
Right. Yeah, that's it. And they never came back. Many businesses were shut down and never came back from it.
Exactly. And it's very unlikely that they will come back. For imposing taxes on us without our consent. Okay, but here's a crazy one. I don't know about you, but I know I didn't vote to send billions of dollars to Ukraine.
Right. No, neither did. No, we had no vote in that whatsoever.
Okay. I haven't voted for any of these things. Okay. No. Now, we are a representative form of government, but I'm telling my representatives, don't vote for this stuff. It's a slush fund so that politicians can get money back. And I heard also recently that the guy that's occupying the White House today has a personal beef with Putin. So he's trying to destroy Putin using our money. Okay?
Right, exactly.
Here's another one. Go ahead.
I was just going to say a lot of things going on in the White House right now are personal vendettas that are happening, whether it's with China, with Ukraine, with Russia, with any of them.
Absolutely. So you look at some of the nonsensical things that are happening. Here's a little side note So 2 years ago, we evacuated, we ran away and tucked our tail between our legs and ran away from Afghanistan, leaving $80 billion worth of military munitions and armament and tools and resources and so forth. Why the heck didn't we take all of that stuff and just move it to Ukraine?
I can't give you any documentation because I can't remember where I heard it or where I read it, but I read that that was a deal that was set up ahead of time with the Taliban, that if they let us get out without a whole lot of trouble, that would be their payment for it, that it was purposely left for them. But I can't give you, you can just say it's my opinion because I can't give you any documentation on where I heard it or read it.
Okay. Here's the other side of that story. Afghanistan is right next door to China.
Yes.
And Russia. And
Right.
you know that they were taking our equipment, our technology, to do everything they possibly could so that they could steal our technology. And Debbie, you kind of reminded me, this is an opinion-based program. Today it's Debbie's and my opinion. So Ray's not here to chime in, so that's okay. Debbie, it's between you and me. And Debbie, you've done your research.
Yeah.
And so this is a reliable source for information. So, all right, let's keep going. For depriving us in many cases of the benefits of a jury trial.
Right. The king had just said, I'm eliminating juries. You just show up in front of a judge and the judge makes the determination.
Yeah. So what's going on today? Is there anything where people are being denied a jury trial, a speedy jury trial? You know of anything that's going on today?
I don't know.
How about January 6th people?
Oh yeah, January 6th. Some of them are still sitting in jail waiting for a speedy trial.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago. And they didn't, was there violence? Yes, there was violence. Okay. I'm not condoning the violence. Okay. But there are some people that are sitting in jail, solitary confinement. And for what?
Right.
For protesting against a tyrannical government.
Right.
Oh, mercy me. I'm sorry for being so riled up. For suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever.
Right. Now the king said, well, I have a contract with you. The Great Britain is supposed to, or England is supposed to protect the colonists here in America. So I'm just making these rules and regulations for your own good to protect you.
Yeah, it's all for you. We're just doing it for you because we know better than you do, because you're just a bunch of hillbilly hicks and
Right.
you don't know. We
Unruly.
know.
Unruly.
Yes, self-centered. So, all right, Debbie, we got to take another real quick break and let's talk about OBBM Network.
Now your DFW events can be listed on the DFW events segment of OBBM Network News. New episodes posted each week are reaching people right here in your own backyard. Get in on this. Now it's affordable to reach thousands of people in new markets, offering exposure to your professional network like never before. Get us your listing by Tuesday at noon, and you'll be included in the following week's release on Monday. Email info@offbeatbusiness.com for our digital media kit and discover a better way to reach DFW. Not hosting events? Your business will benefit from the exposure our events list generates. Take advantage of brand exposure on the ticker or with the logo graphic, video advertisement, even a QR code. Click on our QR code to access our digital media kit now.
And they are located, yes, in North Dallas, but they are developing a nationwide platform. I know there's got a lot of things going on in the Orlando area, but they've got a reach that is growing. We're on all of the major podcast platforms, the iHearts and the Spotify's and Apple Radio and so forth. So we're on all of those major platforms. So subscribe to OBBM. And while you're doing it, just go ahead and subscribe to Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve as well. And if you've got anything that you need to share with us, then I'm getting ready to put something up here. I don't know. Okay. Send us an email. Okay. Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve at gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook at Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve, on YouTube at Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. So reach out. We'd love to hear your input, your opinions, your feedback on everything that we're doing. If you've got a topic that you want to talk about, well, let us know. I've got some cool stuff that's going to be coming up right around the corner. So let's keep going. And we got a couple more slides. So Debbie, why don't you take over these?
He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation.
Debbie, I put 2 and 2 together. We do not have a southern border right now.
No.
And the current guy that's sitting in the White House is transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries, illegal immigrants. Now, are they all coming into the United States to destroy us? No, they're not. And I understand some of them are just coming. They want a better life. Do it the right way. Okay. That's all I'm asking. Do it the right way. But you got people that are coming in that are bringing in fentanyl and other illegal drugs. You've got people that are coming in for sex trafficking. You've got the coyotes that are making money off of these people that they're coming in, and they're selling people into slavery in the United States.
Circumstances of cruelty. Not only that, but just the people that think that that want a better life, and they think that it's okay, this coming across the border illegally, and they end up dying.
Yeah,
there's been many that have died along the border trying to get in.
Exactly.
So pulling that carrot out and luring them to us, in hopes of getting more votes, is literally killing people.
Well, it's to get more votes. It's also designed to collapse the system.
Correct.
Because you got all of this stuff that's going on. It is destroying our healthcare system and our education system. And all of a sudden, you've got people that are coming in getting all of these free services, and it's going to implode the country.
Yep, I agree.
Now, but I don't have any detail, so look it up, folks. But there is a movie that was released yesterday. It was a crowdfunded movie. It's called Sounds of Freedom. It is all about sex trafficking. My wife and I are going on Saturday afternoon, so I'll have a lot more information. And who knows, we may talk about that next week. But I cannot wait to see this movie. Okay. And I know Ray and I have talked about some of this stuff in the past with some of the trafficking that's going on. This needs to be in the forefront of all of our conversations.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see the movie and have some commentary next week. So Debbie, I think we've got one more slide. He has excited domestic insurrection amongst us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an indistinguishable destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. That's what the king was doing, okay?
Excited domestic insurrections, huh?
Yeah, that's what the king was doing. Now, here's a little known fact. If you turn the clock back 247 years, there were 3 groups of people in America, okay, in the colonies. You had those people that were very pro-king. They wanted to be subjects of Great Britain. You had those that were the exact opposite end of the spectrum. They were the revolutionaries, okay? Then you had that 30% that was in the middle, and they said, don't really care. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. Guess what? It's exactly the same today. You've got that 30% that are liberals, they're Democrats, they're communists, or socialists. I'm sorry again for being redundant, but they're on the left side. They want to destroy the country. They want the country the way they want it. Then you've got the people on the opposite end of the spectrum that are the constitutionalists that want to preserve our country. And then you've got the people in the middle that blinders on, we don't care. We don't want to hear about this stuff. I just want to get a bowl of ice cream.
By the White House idealizing and bringing to the forefront and praising groups like Black Lives Matter during those riots, where they say, oh, it's all peaceful while you watch buildings burn in the background. How much closer to exciting domestic violence or whatever is that? It's the same thing.
Debbie, it is insanity right in front of us. And you've got a complicit media. Yes, you have a complicit media that is doing everything they can to either lie to us or not share the truth with us.
Exactly. Again, we're back to, is our Constitution going to continue to work for us?
Absolutely. All right. So Debbie, I know you've done a lot of research. I've got two sources where I got a lot of information. One of them was an organization, wallbuilders.org. They are a nonprofit organization headed up by David Barton. The guy is a genius when it comes to U.S. history. The guy is amazing. The largest private library of documents, early U.S. history documents. Guy's amazing. Great educator. And then also the Heritage Foundation has a lot of great information. heritagefoundation.org. Right. Another great constitutional conservative. Folks, do your own research. Look it up. Learn more about our founding documents, Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. And I promise we're going to do more of this stuff down the road, where we're really getting back to our foundation of who we are and who we need to stay. So, Debbie, any closing thoughts?
I can give you a couple little lesser known facts if you'd like.
Please.
The first submarine used in war was used during our revolution.
How about that?
The Declaration of Independence was actually titled the Unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America.
Oh, I like that.
So,
I like that.
And we had a small Navy, so we used some ingenuity, and we hired pirates to go attack the British.
Oh, wait a second. Let's see if I've got my. I don't know where my patch is. I was going to pull my patch out, and so anyway. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, let's do this the right way.
All right. But you had to split half the booty between the pirates and the and the United States. So,
yeah, it's okay. So Blackbird was on our side.
Yeah.
So anyway, any other final thoughts, Debbie?
No, I mean, I just this country, with all of its faults, with all of its arguments with each other, is still the best country in the world. And I am just so proud to be an American. Yes. I am so proud to be part of it. And every time I vote, it just warms my heart that I have that right.
Absolutely. Right, and privilege. So, Debbie, thank you so much for jumping in last minute to help out today. You have been a gem. I have greatly enjoyed this. And I think we need to take a vote and just vote Ray off the island. And
he'll have a list of grievances. He'll be like, the revolutionary. He won't go easy.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's 2/3 votes, so we'll just put him on. So, Debbie, it's a delight. Thanks for jumping in to help out. So, folks,
you're welcome.
Again, like us, share, enjoy, comment, tell us what your thoughts are, and let us know what you're thinking on this crazy platform. Yeah, thank you. One last friend. So, Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve, and we're signing off for another great episode. Thanks, Debbie.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. If you have suggestions for topics you would like us to discuss, or you would like to become a sponsor, reach out to us today at tabootalkwithrayansteve@gmail.com. In the meantime, check out the other amazing programs on OBBM Network on all your favorite podcast platforms. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Join us again for another fun and informative opinion-based episode. This is Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve.